children are the most victimized segment of the population. And actually, they appear in the justice system more frequently for victimizations and crimes they've experienced than they do for crimes that they've committed. Juveniles that we are most concerned about are what we call poly-victims, children who have suffered more than one kind of criminal victimization. So that would be, for example, to have been abused by a parent and bullied by peers, or sexually assaulted by a classmate or a date.
So for girls, really their pathways of criminal justice involvement are tied to their experiences as abuse and trauma. So for example, missing school, because I'm an adult, if it's up to me whether or not I want to take classes, that's not a problem. Whereas, if someone who's 15 doesn't go to school, then they can get in trouble for truancy. If I'm away from home for a prolonged period, maybe I'm on vacation or visiting, whereas if a young person, who's 13, 16, leaves home, then it's running away. So those.
Well, it depends. I mean, increasingly, there are a lot of services that are made available to young people who are in the juvenile justice system, but oftentimes they're pretty far down the path of, maladaptive behavior, so it can be very, very hard. It certainly works better to reach them earlier. And many of the kids who end up in the juvenile justice system can be identified earlier in their career by looking for kids who are engaged in bullying or victims of bullying, who are having a hard time in school, who have poor relationships with parents and lack of support at home, those kinds of things.
We're from child welfare into the juvenile justice system. So, of course, if someone's involved with child welfare, then there's, belief that child has experienced some form of maltreatment or neglect. And so once a child's in the system, then, or a young person, then, there can be situations where, they're dealing with different trauma, including the fact, that they are separated from their family.